All right, well, got it back on the stand and just noticed how bad that skid plate is. I don't know if you guys can see the angle there. But it's like, it's sticking up, man. That must have dropped the front of the boat. I don't know how much, but I'm sure it didn't help. So that last, when I put that on, the trim adjustments I made was kind of like, not very accurate, but I raise the trim adjustment. I'll leave it there, see what it is, next time around. All right, so I'm getting ready to kind of line this out. I decided to put it on top of the boat just to see, well, first of all, if it came back to the back of the very back of the keel section, and it does. And I've got a little warpage here. It's been sitting up against a wall between two buildings for a couple of years. So you can see where they marked out these bends, and where the CNC cut notched it. And then you can see that my bends on the keel are over here. And that was a problem when I first got the kit, is the bends didn't mark up on the keel, didn't match up with the CNC cut transom. So I had like 3/16 gap right in here, so through all of this, because of the gap, and I didn't fit the transom to fit the keel, as far as cutting the transom. I like my hole. I pulled these bars out. I used the plasma cutter on the inside and kept it pretty straight, but I think it shot off to the side, just burned a big hole there. Another one over here. I took those tubes off. Not too big a deal, but so anyway, not that big a deal here. The bend's close, but it's probably, I think, 3/8 of an inch off, just like the transom was. So I think this was marked, by machine and bent. You can see the bend marks. There's not much bend there. There wasn't when I got it, but it was a slight bend. Follows the transom down, or the keel, I mean, and match. I guess it's supposed to match up here pretty well. So, it doesn't perfectly, but when these bends are off, whatever. So, went ahead and pulled the pump. I think I'm going to go ahead and I bought a Harbor Freight bender and fill a pipe with sand and just try and bend these. And that way, I'll probably come off at an angle like this, and curve down to this. We'll see how that works out. I like that idea better just because I want to come off the bottom of the transom at an upward angle, downward here, but whatever. And then add skid plate, but at an angle moving back upward when the boat's upright. So that's my my thought on that. I got a couple of heaters because days are 40s, 50s, but it's getting cold at night, getting close to freezing. And I thought, man, I understand, you get heat this stuff, it becomes more pliable and bendable. So I'll probably heat the bottom of the boat underneath, possibly heat it up here, possibly use straps and wood. I've seen a video where a guy did that. It looked like it would work pretty well. So I don't know if I'll get to the keel strip this week. I mean, I might, but it's kind of, once you start it, you finish it kind of a deal. And but otherwise that might be next weekend. So for now, I'm working on this, adding a stomp grate, whatever you want to call it, the intake screen, adding to that. And I'm still thinking about it. I went ahead and cut out these metal strips. It's cold rolled steel, so I'm thinking about just doing strips along here, and then in the back only, and tying these together so they would be mounted front and back, and then cutting the hole out to where I can actually clamp down the UHMW on the sides. So I believe on the UHMW in the back, in the front, I just come short of the intake ring and screw along the edge of the UHMW, and then the back, I don't know, I'll have to see. There's, this is the back of the intake, so on the inside it's really hard to get to. I don't know, I'll have to get up in there and look, but generally speaking, you can't weld in there, but maybe I can get these bolts in, no problem. And one thing I noticed is the back of this is actually warped, so I don't know if it's the combination of just having a gap here and when I filled it, that it brought this down, but I've got a dip right there. That and welding in the ring, not really sure. I'm sure maybe a combination of the two, maybe welding the ring did it, but I definitely have a dip right here and a bow, but it kind of dips down right here. I don't think it'd be that big a deal. I was thinking the grate, would essentially be on an upward path from low to high towards the back, and essentially for the grate to be a little bit higher in the back than the UHMW seems fine to me. And then in the front, I would probably, if I end up being higher with my steel strips than the UHMW, then I just grind it down to where I have an angle in the front at least, for things to roll upward going backwards. But so I'm thinking I'll go ahead and just cut the UHMW when I get to that point up to this edge, possibly just tap the intake ring and screw steel over the UHMW. I don't know how that would work out, because I'd have a raised lip in the front. It's either that or bring UHMW up to this point, screw it along here, and just let this all stand alone with the grate. So I don't know. I almost kind of like cutting it out here better, because I'm gonna have to have essentially an added bend here, which I'm sure there's ways to do that. Possibly cut a groove on the top side, and heat it and pull it down and bolt it in. Just not sure I want to do that. I don't know that it's necessary. Stomp grate's going to be a little bit higher than, it's going to be higher than this metal. So I think it's pretty much going to carry the burden. And it's not necessary to bring that up here. So anyway, if anybody's got any ideas, throw them in there. I may not get to that UHMW part till next weekend. In the meantime, I'm going to work on building this and redoing this tubing back here probably. And then I'll probably save that for next weekend, so I won't be cutting it or anything. So you put in the comments if you have any ideas of what I should do.